right. Welcome back to another episode of Bet GPT. This is episode 45. I'm with Austin Slade here, my usual co host, and we have a very special guest on today. We have Joey Isaac from Twitter. He is a local, I guess, from
He
Twitter. We'll let you
exists
get
in the
into
real world too.
Yeah.
He's professional sports bettor based out of the LA area. So we appreciate having him on. We're hoping to get some insights from him, maybe some tips and tricks for how to upgrade your sports betting lifestyle. But I guess, Joey, thank you for hopping on. Can you give us a little introduction and tell us your background?
Thanks, guys, for having me. So from LA, been kind of betting sports my whole life, and I guess like doing it full time for now almost 10 years, I guess.
So what does that look like as your full-time job? Are there some days where you're just, grinding for, 12, 16 hours a day and other days where you're doing nothing? Or does it kind of just depend on the season?
Yeah, like what's the research looking like?
Yeah, that's tough. It's a lot of sitting at being accessible, sitting at your computer. It is like you're a doctor, you're on call like all day, but once you've like established like how you're going to play your plays, is it like, are you filling in for certain people? Are you doing your own plays? So you're doing your own research, or are you everything? The day will take care of yourself. You do a lot of nothing, but a lot of sitting at your computer is the easiest way to describe it.
Gotcha. Now, are you, when you place your bets, do you have models you go off of, or are you hearing from other people, a combination of both?
I don't do models. I'm honestly like kind of one of the few, I guess, contrarian in this way that like I don't necessarily like. I don't know how to describe it, but I don't like people that use models. I kind of stay away from that stuff. So like if someone, I've seen it so many times, like I have this model that, beats NCAA basketball totals, and it's not how I want to do it.
Yeah.
Good luck to them. I don't think it's that. I think that was great 10 years ago when I started, but right now I think there's better ways to go at it.
Yeah, sports books are definitely getting smarter and trying to figure out ways to combat that.
I was going to ask, like, with how prominent recreational betting has gotten in the last year or two, we've seen like now you can go on ESPN and they're talking gambling. You'll see the lines on. It just seems like everybody is into it due to FanDuel, DraftKings. Have you noticed a change from like some of the books or just the environment in general?
It's a huge change, but I think the best opportunities in sports gambling is always uncertainty. And, these sports books, and they'll tell you it straight up, is that they have pressure on them to create 100 markets or 150 markets a day. And there's no way that they're going to be good at every single one. Granted, some of these are tiny markets, like let's say NBA score first. That was a great bet like 7-8 years ago. It doesn't last long, and that's the thing, is like nothing is going to last forever in these small markets, and that's for various reasons, such as like I might go to Slade and say, hey, like, one of the things is that like Andre Drummond won the tip for, I think it was on like the Nets that year. He and they were a terrible team, but he won the tip every time, and they would price it how they priced the pregame. So if the Nets were like 8-point underdogs, they'd be like plus 120 to score first. And that edge didn't last long, because I'm going to ask Slade for help. He's going to see, after I'm sending him these plays, hey, it's pretty good. He's going to ask you for help. All of a sudden you're going to do the same, and the sportsbooks are going to have like 25 people hitting them for the same exact plays, and it's done. They'll figure it out. Yeah. So, but there's always opportunities for small markets.
So you mentioned if multiple people, are kind of discovering these loopholes in betting, they could kind of go away. Are there ever things you find where you're like, oh boy, like I need to keep this to myself? Like this is like a gold mine for me.
I mean, I think you keep things to yourself as long as you can, and you trust certain people, and you you don't trust certain people, or there's certain people that I think that they have loud lips, and I will be like, I have a play, give me your login, I'll play it 2 seconds before tip off, let's say for NBA.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna want to get, like, you might tell me you can get me $200, but I know you're getting like 2,000. So there's certain people that you learn to trust and you learn not to. And sorry, what was your question one more time?
No, yeah, just if you're keeping some things to yourself. Yeah, you answered it.
Yeah,
You answered it, yeah.
I mean,
Do you trust us?
I trust you guys.
So, if you trust us, maybe you should give us some golf winners, because I saw last week you hit a little outright. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I had I guess I'll tell you in the beginning, I know nothing about golf, but it's like my one degenerate thing a week is that I'm in like a group chat and we all take like a long shot every week. And I just got a little lucky that this week. 1 second.
Yeah, you're good. It's been a crazy golf season. There, like, I feel like a huge underdog has won every single week. I know Wyndham Clark was only like 60-1.
60.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay, you're good.
So I don't know if you know Philip Shepard, but like we were talking. He was a professional golf bettor, and now he's trading options. But we would every week, every Wednesday, he'd be like, "Who's your golf futures?" And no joke, 9 straight times I got second place. So
Dang.
it's like very lucky. I think we were joking like this. Wyndham Clark like would have got second place if they played Sunday.
Yeah, just take the 18 holes away. So you're lucky that you placed it obviously beforehand and it didn't get voided or anything. Like some of these other sports books, I saw that someone had like a 20-leg parlay with the top 20 guys all to finish in the top 20, and I think they placed like at the very last seconds of round 3 or something like that. And DraftKings hasn't been totally respondent to that. And it's just a good reminder to always check the rules of your sports book and see like what is necessary for a bet to cash. Because I'm sure there's been plenty of instances where you either, got screwed out of something, or, something got voided and didn't go your way.
Yeah, and it's like you know what you're doing when you place it, and they have the right to void it and all of that. And if you placed it Sunday, I mean, it's one of those things like it should never have been up. Like it didn't take a genius to see like there's like a 50% chance this golf tournament's ever having another hole played. So it's like it's their fault too, but at the same time, like I don't know, it's a tough one. I don't know if what should happen.
Yeah.
If you did it during round 3, which I know some people did, like I think they did it like when the Ludo guy was like 18th hole. That's I mean that's a little different because I think that was still like not. I mean that was like to me that was him being really smart, and I think the other guys were just free shotting.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping the sports books from like on the back 9 saying no live bets for the rest of the day. So they could have easily done that, and they didn't, and someone took advantage of it. So
yeah, I mean every preview you read would have said weather's bad all weekend. They might not get 72 holes in.
Yeah,
or certain players will get caught in terrible weather and their rounds are screwed. So it's not a secret, this weather thing, so they really should have done a better job.
Yeah. So you mentioned you're not big into watching sports itself. You're still betting the sports. Is there any specific, I guess, sport you do bet on, or any specific market? I know you can bet on like awards and like the Grammys, Oscars, all that good stuff. Is there anything you like specifically?
I think, one of my good friends, Call Customer Service, said in a podcast he did is that he would bet cockroach racing if they offered it. And I think I'm the same way. Like anything that I think that I have an advantage in, I will bet. Don't really bet that often, like for fun or for, whatever reason. But yeah, so but I do, and in the same way, I do enjoy betting on the NBA. I mostly, almost 90% of my bets in the NBA are prop bets. And I don't bet NCAA basketball because enjoy it, and I don't think it's good for account longevity. And
Yeah, I've gotten killed on college basketball this year because I just kind of take advice from people I don't. It's a sport that there's too much variability on like a week
Mhm.
to week basis, and I'm not going to watch random small schools play on the other side
Yeah,
of the country, and it's not worth it to me. But you had mentioned that you're finding these edges, and how often are these books catching on that you have these edges? Are they ever limiting you, saying, "Hey, we're not taking any more of your bets, no more of your money"?
yeah, of course. And I've been around long enough, and I've part of what I do is I do move for certain groups. You might call it syndicates, and get down there. College basketball. If I over the years. NBA overnights, anything NBA day of, that's obviously like the nuts, that's what you want if you can beat NBA day of. Um, but yeah, of course, I lose accounts every week. I get limited every week. But you just, part of it is just networking with more and more people, and most of the time, if you give me an account, I get limited. You kind of been, or like, it's that bull, like that aha moment, and you're like, oh, this guy got limited because he's going to win. Let me get more accounts because we're going to make money together.
Right.
So, it works out both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, so in terms of, I guess, having multiple accounts and networking, is the best way to do this going? I know there's like a bet bash that's every year, and there's these other like networking events. Like, how are you meeting these guys and like going on podcasts? I know we met on Twitter, but
Yeah.
as like we're trying to build up friends and whatnot
Yeah.
within the community, how would you suggest that to everybody?
So, I mean, like, yeah, when I started, there was no Twitter, there was no bet bash, there was no any of that. There was no DraftKings, FanDuel even. So it was a lot different. And, I'm now a little older, so I'm not as, hungry, which is, good and bad. But, when I started, we can go into how I started, but whatever. But when I started, and I would get accounts and do accounts, these bookies had never seen the stuff that I was putting in, like, the college basketball, beating lines by 4 or 5 points, they were just, never seen it. So a lot of the first partners I got were bookies that kicked me off. And now you get a PPH account, and a bookie sees 5 sharp groups a day. And it's like, a lot of bookies now quit because they're like, all I get is bots and sharp groups. And it's hard to find, the recreational bettor, because they're all at DraftKings and stuff. So it's definitely changed that way. But yeah, I mean, you just got to hustle and network. And, you go from, someone who's giving, a group or, someone accounts and asking them questions that, learning and learning. And then you over the years, you become the guy that, your people are asking questions to. So.
Are you ever making bets that you think will lose or be like poor value to make it like look like you're some sort of dummy
So
who
you're
doesn't know what
losing
he's
on
doing?
purpose, basically. Like
Well,
you're taking a test and you're like purposely getting an A minus instead of 100%.
so yeah, I mean, there's no, you never want to lose on purpose, but there are soft books, and like, I I think it's a waste of space to put, let's say, like sharp anything, because they will have very good opportunities almost every week to beat. It's like Gotham and Yopig are two of the sites. So like, I wouldn't do anything but pretty much random stuff in there, because I know that they're going to mess up, and I'm going to be able to find their mistakes, and it's not going to look as blatant. So yeah, there's that. And like, I was like, I bet women's basketball a lot, college basketball, women's college basketball this year. And I get like these messages like, hey man, mix some stuff in. This is like stupid that you're betting 19 women's college basketball games a day and nothing else. Like, we're never going to let this account last. So yeah, I will, try to match. And then there's a game of like, if you give me an account, I should look over the account history and be like, okay, so he likes to bet Iowa basketball. Big 12 basketball, like I'm not going to take over the account and just bet totally different. So I'm going to try to bet same time as you. Let's say you bet 3 p.m. every day after work. And so I'll do this. I'll notice that and I'll do the same in the beginning, or I'll bet only Iowa stuff. If I have a play on Iowa, I'll be like, okay, it's going to go on his account. So
Yeah.
there's that. But yeah, I never want to lose. I mean,
Gotcha. I guess I really wasn't educated on how there's such like if you build partnerships and you're like sharing accounts and whatnot. I didn't really even know that aspect existed. I'm sure a lot of the recreational bettors obviously like they don't know that either. They're just signing up at FanDuel and that's their one book. They're not shopping prices. They're just hanging out with their friends on a Saturday night betting on something random. So that's definitely interesting to think about.
Yeah, totally. And there's so many now people who are good partners and willing to do, different deals. And that's the thing is like, it is a business too, like do a good deal for you and don't get screwed over.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I should have asked you this off the top, but how did you get into sports betting? Did you gamble, casino games and other things, or was it straight into sports gambling? What's a little bit of your background?
Yeah, no, I've been doing this, that's the thing that has really helped me is that I do have the background of being recreational and dumb. And so, yeah, I started out like my mom and grandfather would go take me to Vegas since I was like 8. And I was always like attracted to like the guys with stacks of cash and like that's what I wanted. And so I started betting like online, like when I was like 15, I think, on like sportsbook.com. I was a tennis player and I got hurt and like I was playing fantasy football and one of the guys was like, "Oh, I'm playing on sportsbook.com," and me and my mom put some money in and played online roulette for like a week while I was like recovering from the injury and just went from there. And obviously like anyone, I lost over and over again in the beginning. And but yeah, I just kept at it and got smarter, learned, and now it's so much easier to learn. There's so many websites and tools and podcasts and easier and quicker to learn from mistakes than I never got that chance in the beginning.
Yeah, when I first started gambling, it was when Iowa legalized gambling. Was it like 3 or 4
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the first couple months, you're having fun, you're rattling off all these bets, whatever, just to have action every single day. And, that's not, at least for me, that was not a sustainable way for me to win and to
Yeah.
profit. So, whereas fast forward to now, it's like some days or some weeks, it's, 2 or 3 weeks go by. I don't even really bet anything. It's maybe one or two things. I'm just waiting for some value. I'm not just betting, just so I can watch a game on a Saturday night.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's smart. And that's, you have to do like what's best for you. Like, I think that a lot of people are like very matter of fact, like don't do parlays, don't buy points, don't tease totals, don't tease NBA, don't, there's a lot of rules that do make sense and they are mathematically like correct, but like you have to do what's best for you. And I think a lot of these rules like don't take into account like like your personality and your mental state of like some people don't handle losing well, and like it's better to fire off a win than like, so if you are someone who like will tilt every time your like account's down, like I think that you probably are better off playing like something like minus 185 than like minus 3.5 4 points if you're playing for like small money too.
Yeah.
Like, just try to win. I know that's stupid saying, but like there are certain things that like you have to realize your personality and your after the loss behavior. I think that's something that isn't talked about much is like how you handle, because you're going to lose. Everyone's going to lose. And if you're someone who like loses 2 bets in a night and then you're like, it's 6:30, 6:45 and you're going to shove on that 7 p.m. TNT game no matter what, like it's probably going to be a bad bet. So you're better off like, doing something maybe stupid with more of a chance to win.
Yeah, I think we've all been there where it's like Sunday night and your account's down and you're like, how can I get this in the
One play
positive?
and one play and I'm even.
It's-
Hopefully our friend
yeah,
Brady's listening and takes our advice, because that's directed at him.
that's
Um,
his move. Yeah, everyone does it. I mean, it's like
it's human
it's
nature.
human nature. Everyone hates losing too. Like you see these guys like get on places and they're just like, I don't even know if I win or lost. It's like that's bullshit. You know, everyone hates losing, and it's just part of it. Like you just get better at it, I guess.
So in terms of the Super Bowl this weekend, I know a lot of recreational bettors like myself. It's supposed to be fun. I'm not necessarily doing these bets to get rich, so I'm not like super upset with how this kind of industry probably works with this. But I didn't know, like, do you think casinos are they truly leaving these first song and the Gatorade color and things like that to chance, or do you think they know everything and they're just kind of trying to funnel the money different directions so that
Well,
they can lock in their profits?
well, you in regulated like American gambling, you can't bet on that stuff. It's you can't bet on things that are like Gatorade color and first song. So those sports books are off the table when we talk about this. It's offshore and it's only
Mhm.
like one right now. You know, they're smart enough at uh whether it be, you know, I'm going to go into Bovada, let's say, and I'm going to hit them for every halftime prop. That might, you know, and their max was like $400. That might have like cost me like $4,000 down the road, because now all there'll be like, okay, there's a guy who has information, and they might slash my limits for everything else. So I don't necessarily think that this is something that's going to hurt places like this, like Bovada and those places, and BetUS and them, blah blah. Their limits are so small on this that
Gotcha.
they don't care that much, is my guess.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, the Gatorade color is also. I think that's one that isn't really necessarily beatable ish. Like I don't know.
I always just
First,
picture them having like boots on the ground, like some people undercover, where it's like, oh, we know what the color is, so like
yeah, but
we'll
then
lay
that team
odds
still has to
out this
win.
way.
That team still has to win.
That's
So there's
true.
usually
Yeah,
two colors. So like even if I know the Chiefs color, they still have to win.
that's a good
So
point.
yeah, I think with the Rams game, I had the color, and I don't know. And they still have to pour it. I don't know. The Gatorade color is a little more to chance, but that also is more of like long shots. The halftime stuff is always right. And the national anthem used to be like you had like hours and hours to get down, and now since that like video a couple of years ago, the sports books are very fast and they know when the rehearsal time is, so they're gonna adjust that, you know, that number um, pretty quickly. And so the yeah, I mean, I think that it is just one of those things that they can monitor and they can do. And I mean, that's the thing, is like these sports books have to provide you and me and everybody and the, you know, the recreation with 150 bets, maybe for the Super Bowl 500, because if your sports book offers you 50 only, you're going to go to the one that offers you 500. So there's a lot of
True.
pressure on these places to put out everything imaginable. I mean, Bovada has, will aliens attack mid game, and will the game end in a tie after aliens attack? It's like, I mean, they're creative and that, but like there's pressure on them, I'm sure, to put out everything. So your business goes to them, and end of the day, even if you beat them in the Super Bowl, you're going to lose it back the next week,
Right.
most of the time. So
Yeah, yeah,
we have
that's a
that
good point.
advantage going on too. It's nice to be the sports books.
Definitely. Speaking of losing, do you have any tips for bankroll management? Should your some people say unit size should be like 1% or whatever they say, 1% of your total bankroll. Do you have any rules you follow or things you would suggest for a recreational bettor?
Bet small would be my suggestion, like as small as you real, like, you know, without And you don't want to bet like so small that you're like you don't even care, but like small enough to like feel that sweat and all that, and just maybe more volume. But it's hard. I don't think that the recreational player has actually like I think that's a very advanced thing to actually like know, hey, I have more of an advantage in like if you're betting something like spreads, like I have more advantage in like the Texas game versus the Iowa State game. Like you probably have the exact same, which is probably you're flipping a coin. So
Yeah.
like I don't think you should try to do that and like stake your bet size like 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 units. I would just choose 1 unit and just fire off as much as you can that unit that
So
day
if you
that
were
week.
more confident in one play than another, you wouldn't recommend doing like 2 units, one the other. You would kind of keep it consistent, unit
Yeah,
sizing.
the confident thing, I think you're probably fooling yourself. I think there's not that many people who are actually better in success rate at more confidence. I mean, granted, like there are reasons to go bigger, like if you're finding wrong lines or pass posting or doing things where you actually do have a big advantage, then yeah, go bigger. But if it's just, hey, there's 3 games tonight that I like, it's let's say it's the Niners to beat the Chiefs, the Chiefs to beat the Ravens, and the Niners to beat the Lions. You probably have like the exact same chance in each 3 game. Is
That
my
makes sense.
Yeah.
there's not that many people. I probably can count on like one hand who would.
Yeah. Okay. So that's on the recreational side. For you, on the more of like the pro side, are you do you just base things off like someone you really really trust? If they have high conviction, you might bet more, or what does it take for you to really put a little extra in to get more back?
So it's different. So with like spreads and NFL spreads and NFL totals and those things, yeah, don't really go that big, let's say. But props, I have gotten to the stage and everything where I am able to calculate my edge and like, hey, this is a bigger bet than bet one is bigger than bet two for various reasons, let's say. Whether it's injury news, lineup news, whatever, I can kind of calculate, hey, this is, deserves more money on it.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess that's you can calculate it. You can kind of understand that value. It's not just like a confidence thing you pointed out earlier, where it's like, oh, I watched this team dominate last weekend. They have to win. This weekend.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's going to get you in trouble. But
Yeah.
I mean, the opportunities aren't like, let's say COVID was like the best sports betting opportunities in the world. And so, yeah, I mean, I tell people if you didn't win during COVID, you're not going to win now. And I was like, just opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Like the stuff that happened is like unbelievable. And with NBA, the bubble was great news. And so yeah, I mean, it's just you're not going to have those same opportunities now. So it's harder, and I don't see how you can really have a play in the NBA like with as a recreational player or whatever, where it's like this is great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely good to know. So we're wrapping up here, or we're 30 minutes in. If we could have you for another 5 or 6 minutes, that'd be great. We'd love to know,
You guys
kind
making
of
the
just,
Super Bowl?
yeah, I want to know your Super Bowl thoughts. If you have any bets on the game or any leans that you're willing to share, and then we'd also want to know, like, how you learned all this knowledge. Are there any books or podcasts or any other,
Yeah,
supplementary things people can do?
yeah, of course. Everyone can. I mean, and you can always hustle. I mean, dude, if you want to like really make like the next step, like it's a lot of time and it's a lot of hustling. And you know, when I started, I was like, and like I was putting in play or giving people accounts to put in plays. Like I hawked the accounts and like I wanted to know like not why did you make this play, but like I wanted to know like I also learn, like, with props, that's kind of how I learn. But, like, I'm getting WNBA plays in this account, and why WNBA plays, and why this and why that, and who's sending this guy to play. So, like, you just got to ask questions and then be like, hey, can you introduce me to, the guy giving you the WNBA plays? Maybe he can help. Maybe I can work out something with him. So, like, that's how I networked a lot. But there's always, people to meet, and you can tell pretty quickly if you have any chance of winning long term. You can tell pretty quickly when someone will win long term. So there's that. But anyways, I like the Niners. I bet them when it opened. I think I got like minus 120 money line is what I took. Not 100% sure what it is now. And then for props, I haven't taken that much yet. Haven't. I don't. This is going to be one of the least amount on a game. I'm excited to watch it that I've
Yeah.
had. But yeah, I think I have two props that I've hit so far. I think we're Noah Gray over 1.5 catches and over 11.5 yards, I think it was. I liked that one, and I think that's almost all I've played. If you have Prop Builder, which a lot of these offshores do, you can take the Kyle Juszczyk guy under 0.5 catches and under 3.5 yards and parlay it because it's correlated. So instead of like it paying like plus 130 under 0.5 catches, you're parlaying it with under yards. So it's basically getting under 0.5 catches at like plus 200. So there's that to do. I did that, or I will do that. Those are like 0 for 7 this postseason, though. These under 0.5 catches parlayed with the yards when it should be like huge edge. But we got one more to fire off. I don't mind giving out that because it'll probably be fixed by next season. But yeah.
Gotcha. No, that's a good find because I was actually just talking to my buddy earlier today about Juszczyk because he caught a pass last week on the sideline. Purdy threw a good pass there. So I figured he did score a touchdown in the Super Bowl last time these guys faced off. So I think he's going to get the ball. I just don't know if it's going to be a pass or not. But that's really interesting that you can find that value. And yeah, it'll probably be cleaned up before next season.
You can also, if you don't like, you can, worst case scenario, like if you don't like it, just take the parlay and then take him over 0.5 catches on itself and you're arbing it. So there's no reason to not do either one or both.
Yeah. I guess this is a little off topic, just going back to kind of what you do. Do you ever, if you are on something where it was like a 5 or 6 point line move, you have just like crazy value, are you ever trying to middle that, or would you need some special circumstances for that to happen?
So I really do think I missed the boat on like middling and those things and doing more of that. And you really do have to know what you're doing. But yeah, if you beat the line by 5 points, just stay with it unless you are middling it. Or, if it's like a NBA injury news, that's a little different. Like, you have some sites that like if you do have like underdog alerts on, and it'll say like Giannis out, and you can have a slow moving book, just take the other team for a lot of money and with the intention to middle when they reopen. So I think that's a little different. That's the easiest way to probably do it right now, but yeah.
Gotcha. I try to get to the book as fast as I can when I see injury news, but people are so on top of it. That's why I really like betting the NFL and NBA drafts, just because it's information based. So if you're plugged into the right people, you can usually get some pretty good value. And especially if you're betting things early in the cycle, you could have some 40 to 1s that turn into like 3 or 4 to 1,
and then you can
stuff
hedge.
like that. Yeah.
I wouldn't hedge. It's up to you, but yeah, I think some people got Will Levis last year, like under 9.5, like minus 130, and it closed like, and I can't remember, but
That'd be me. Yeah.
I remember that one.
So much for that.
It's always those bets that like everyone crushes, and they usually win. But yeah, the NFL draft's fun and all that. it's one of those things like you don't know like what you're gonna bet until it starts coming. Like I can't tell you anything about the NFL draft, but I'm sure by the time it comes, I'll have thousands and thousands of dollars on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just 2 weeks before the props start getting released, the over unders, the draft slots, and then yeah, it's just it happens fast for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like with DraftKings and those places opening up quick and all those things, like it and more smart people have started to do the draft. So I think in a lot of ways it's harder now, and every year it's harder.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The previous last year's draft did not go well for me. The previous two were really good, so I was really confident going into last year. But the CJ Stroud going 2 killed me. I had him from like to go 3 through 11 at so much money, and
Yeah,
yeah, I
that
would have
sucks.
been on vacation
I
after that.
I have a very good friend in the front office of the Texans, and he's wrong. He was wrong the year before. Forgot what the year before was. I think it was like Sauce Gardner versus they were thinking about the other guy.
Stingley, yeah.
Yeah.
He told me it wasn't going to be Stingley, but anyways, there's all sorts of like
Wow.
why you're wrong stories. But he texted me that day and said they're taking Will Anderson. So I was like just getting as much money as I could on Will Anderson, like under 2.5, under texted all these things. Ended up being okay, but like you just never know with the draft. And then he was right.
Yeah, they got him, but
It
yeah,
was
really, some of these teams, the only people that know are the general manager, and sometimes the head coach doesn't even know. As crazy as that sounds,
yeah, and
so
I think NFL is like there's a lot of people making the choice, and there are probably most of these teams are down to 2 guys. My guess is for the top 10, and then yeah, there has to be a team going like way out of left field for it to really change. But
yeah. Are you do you bet NBA draft as well? Were you on Paulo Banchero to go 1?
I did not get that one. Who was the guy who? So I got bad information on that one, which is weird. And I know who sent it. That was the Shams versus Woj, right?
Yes, Woj was on the wrong side of that.
Yeah, and I know
Yeah.
why. It's James Harden's best friend sent Woj the text. Was Woj. He sent one of them the text, and he's my friend, and he's an idiot, but genuinely think he thought he had the right information. He gets paid a lot of money by these guys. It's actually kind of interesting. Like the random shit that he does, like for these NBA players, and like then he goes like they give him information to tell them. Like that's part of like the ecosystem. So
They pay him to be like Harden's camp or like this player's camp or to leak things basically.
or they'll just be like they'll allow him to make that money that way. Be like, hey, go tell Shams this, and Shams will pay you like 10 grand for that, and then you're like
Oh,
in with Shams and like
gotcha.
you know,
So
and then
so like the Shams or the Woj would be paying out.
yeah, they
Gotcha.
pay these guys. And so yeah, it was him that texted that, and he also texted me, being like, "It's gonna be who was it? Who was it that they thought it was gonna go 1?
Jabari
Jabari
Smith
Yeah,
Smith.
Jr.
Yeah.
Jabari Smith. Uh, I lost on his prop tonight. I had under rebounds, but yeah, no, I heard that guy was a legitimate moron in his interviews, Jabari Smith, and that's
Really?
what. But now you watch and like that Banchero's an all-star stud.
Yeah, he's
And
nice.
there's a
Yeah,
good pick.
this tweet, this is what'll live in infamy. 5:41 a.m. Pacific time, day of the draft. As team boards finalize, the 1, 2, and 3 of the draft is increasingly firm. Jabari Smith to Orlando, Holmgren to OKC, and Banchero to Houston.
Yeah, I mean it was close, I guess. But this year, I was on Miller, so I got that, and that odds shifted a lot that day. As the
Yeah.
whole. So yeah, but the draft's always interesting. Like I think I got you get good information, bad information every draft. Like especially the NBA, there's so much more. I think volatility as you go like a little later. Yeah, I definitely was told, like, I think some of the stuff I was told was that Orlando is going to draft Grady Dick.
Mm.
I think I was told that one. And then,
Yeah,
there's
he's
always
on
red
the
ones. Like,
Raptors.
Raptors, yeah.
I think Indiana took a guy kind of out of left field. Or no, Orlando took a guy out of, like, they took that
Yeah,
Jet Howard guy.
yeah, out of
It was a
Michigan,
little
and everyone
earlier.
was clowning them for it.
It looks bad. But yeah, and I think that Indiana took the Walker guy early. So there's
Yep.
I think that NBA is willing to swing a little for the fences sometimes, and they'll take a guy earlier. I don't know. I think, like, the NBA draft's going to get harder in general, just as, like, these guys are all such crazy talented athletes that the difference is marginal. And I think, like, you see, like, like some teams like Memphis, like, they have drafted so poorly, and they've just, like, gone for high character, which John Morant's not, but they've gone for high character guys, and it's, like, really just been a mistake.
Yeah.
You can't play basketball. There's good guys, so every team is going to value something different. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, hey, if you ever want to come on before a draft, let us know. We'd love to
And
give you a little segment.
maybe the Oscars. I know you
Rumor
said you
mill.
like at the Oscars.
Yeah, Oscars. I bet someone was laying a stale Coda line a couple years ago, and I killed them on that, which was
So
awesome.
I tweeted Coda 18-1. I don't tweet that often, but I tweeted Coda 18-1.
Very nice. I only got it like 8-1. That's awesome.
Honestly, I was on a 3-year stretch of, like, this before the odds were just popping up. Like, I'm just watching a preview and being like, this is gonna win Best Picture. I did Green Book and all that, but yeah, no, there's a lot of Oscars, like, math, you can say, in terms of betting it. Like, the awards shows are very correlated, and if you can learn and take the time to learn the award show correlation, like, the DGA award show is very correlated with the best director. I don't know if you know this stuff.
Yeah, it's like the BAFTAs too are a week before, and there's
The
some.
SAG awards are very correlated to certain awards, and, like, if you, like, just take 20 minutes, 10 minutes, and just set an alarm for every night that, like, one of those award shows are, and just write down what they're correlated to, and just check who won, and check your books right away for if they still have those lines up, which they usually do. You can really get some great stuff that is going to move, like, the next day. So,
Yeah.
the Annies, let's say the Annies are the animation awards. The winner of best animation wins the Oscars. Like, it's like 93% of the time, something like that, even more. So Claus 2 years ago won the Annies. So I found Claus at 85-1.
Jeez.
And I had a book take, like, $3,000 on it. So that day when the Oscars happened, Claus was minus 200.
That's a good feeling.
And it didn't win, but that was one of those things. I did end up taking Toy Story that day because, like, I felt like I had to.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, so, like, you just know, like, if a guy wins DGA, just bet that guy to win Best Director. The next day, you're gonna wake up, if he's like plus 100 that night, he's gonna be like minus 700 in 2 days. That's happened like 5 of the last 6 years. This year, I don't think you're gonna have that chance, just because this is a weird year where I think Oppenheimer is gonna kind of be like minus 2,000, and it's the rightful favorite. It's probably gonna win everything. And the actor awards are very tough to call. So I don't think you really need to bet best actor, best supporting, or best actress early, because just last year, like, the guy Austin Butler and the
yeah, for
little guy
Elvis.
was, like, back and forth even that day. So yeah, I would focus on like the Annies, the SAG Awards. That's last year. That's where what won Best Picture last year?
I don't even. Let's see. Best Picture for 2023. Oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, that you had a great chance to get good prices on that for a while, but that started winning awards, and you could pick off that around like and Jamie Lee Curtis from that movie, you could pick off like 18-1 with it, like when those awards were coming. So like if you just pay attention to like the award season, you really should make money from the Oscars most years.
Yeah, even if books are limiting you to like max $100, still if you're coming out with a couple grand just from betting awards, take it. That's a win.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's great.
Gotcha. Okay, that's some really good insight. So the Oscars, those are coming up March 10th. So mark your calendars. Look into those other awards.
Questions?
I think we just wanted to know, any podcasts or books or anything else you would recommend. Then we can let you go.
Where can our listeners find you at?
I'm on
that
Twitter,
as well.
Joey Isaks. Twitter like DMs are kind of there's I get spammed by like all these like DMs by not sports bettors, but if I don't answer your DM, just shoot me something that says I didn't, and I'll answer. For books, let me find. My wife might have thrown some away. We try to like clean our bookshelf. But yeah, anything by Masaru Kanmoto, I think his last name is a great book for sports betting to learn. He's a very fascinating guy. He's on Twitter as like Quantum Sport, I think. His books are great. I think Spanky's podcast is really good.
Yeah, I've listened to a few of those.
He asked me to go on it. I haven't had a chance.
Thanks for prioritizing this podcast over that.
This is a better one. His stuff's good. I'm trying to think what other books, like if you just want a good, fun gambling read, I enjoyed Best Gambling Story Ever Told, I think it was. It's a horse racing story. It's kind of a fun read. It's like a self-published book, but the greatest gambling story ever told. I liked that book. And then, obviously there's the classics like the Billy Walters one now and, Bring Down the House and all that. But The Odds is great by Chad Millman.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, we'll Slade, we'll have to go back and listen to this, and we can tweet out all these recommendations and have some links on our Twitter. So if you're listening to this, just check out our Twitter at BetGPT Podcast, and you can find this stuff out. But Joey, we really appreciate having you on, man. This was awesome. You're welcome to come back anytime. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys. I really enjoyed it, and I will talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.